Tyler Lockett is off to the best start for a wide receiver in Seahawks franchise history. What's going on, 12s? Jackie Montgomery with your Seahawks Daily. Well, through 2 games, Tyler Lockett has already recorded 278 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns, both ranked second in the NFL. Now in his 7th NFL season with a new offensive system, what, if anything, has changed for the receiver?
I feel like the only thing that's different is like everybody's trying to start talking about me. And I just want to kind of like chill and not be in front of the camera, and I just want to kind of, do me. As far as offense, when you get different coordinators coming in, the schemes change, the plays look a little different, the roles that they give you look a little different. And, like for me, I feel like I'm back at how I was at K-State. I've been given a little more freedom to be able to do a lot of the stuff that I did back in college. And, I haven't had that freedom like I used to. And so now I'm just more comfortable in being able to do the stuff that I used to do, because that's how I always played. I just had to change my game up when I came here because it didn't fit how we did certain stuff, but I learned how to play to where it fit of what we did.
He's always had freedom, but I think that he's mastered that, knowing how to get open in all circumstances. And I think that trust, obviously my trust with him is as strong as it gets, but I think the coach is seeing how talented he really is, and that's been really special to see.
Lockett has quietly been building a unique chemistry with Russell Wilson that has been on full display over the past few years. In 2018, Wilson had a perfect passer rating when targeting Lockett, who finished with 70 catches for 965 yards and a career-high 10 touchdowns. In 2019, Lockett had 82 catches for a career-high 1,057 receiving yards and 8 touchdowns. In 2020, the Tulsa native set a franchise record with 100 receptions to go along with over 1,000 receiving yards, tying his career high with 10 TDs.
Tyler, he's just magical out there, to be honest with you. He understands the game. I think any great receiver, they see the game in the eyes of the quarterback. And I think that's really what he does extremely well. Obviously, he catches everything you throw him. That's a key component. He knows how to get open. But I think the intellectual part of the game, he's a quiet guy for the most part, at least. But when we're out there on the field, he's speaking my language, and I think that's what's the beautiful thing in that game.
You get to see it on Sundays, but every day in practice, it's like they don't need to practice, any routes or what they do. Tyler's jogging out there on game day when he's warming up, and then just can turn it on, when the clock starts or when we put the ball down. So, they're just special.
For Pete Carroll, there wasn't a specific moment that made him realize that the quarterback and receiver had a special connection, but there is a play that definitely stands out.
Has it been noticed? Yes, for a number of years. I don't know what, any specific stuff. One of the culmination of that recognition would be the pass that Russ hits him against the Rams, in the corner of the end zone. One of the most perfect plays you could ever see in a game. And that was like, if you didn't believe it then when are you going to believe it? But it's really an exciting thing to watch in sports when you see players that have so much talent and so much awareness, and then you get them together and then they can work off of each other, and help each other and take their play to such a level. These two guys are just phenomenal. I'm talking about Russ and Tyler are just phenomenal all around, athletes and competitors and gifted, performers. And they bring out the best in each other always. Consistently they do, and it's really marvelous.
With a 69-yard touchdown catch in Week 1 and a 63-yard touchdown catch in Week 2, Lockett is just the 4th player since 1990 to record TD catches of 60-plus yards in his team's first 2 games. He joins elite company in Randy Moss, Jerry Rice, and Steve Smith Jr., but Lockett doesn't pay attention to all the accolades or records.
I never really played for records, and then when you start hearing people talk about records, it make you start wanting to play for records. I never played for stats, I never played for catches, and then you start looking at all this other type of stuff, and you start realizing, you doing a lot of the stuff that you never cared about. So think about when you got incentives in your contracts. Now you worried about how many catches you could get to your incentives than just going to play football. And so for me, like, that's really what I care about. I just want to be able to play football, be the best that I could be, go work out, go do all that type of stuff. You don't want to get caught up in all that type of stuff to where you start to lose focus on what's important, So for me, that's why I try to do stuff like this year. I want to dedicate, I always dedicate it to God, and that's number one. And I also want to dedicate it to my hometown. So I try to find different ways to be able to dedicate games to people or things back in my hometown that mean a lot to me. Because if I focus on this type of atmosphere where I'm at, it's hard to be satisfied, But when I focus on back home, I'm more so appreciative. I'm more so grateful. I've already won.
This Sunday, Lockett could become just the 5th player in NFL history with 100-plus receiving yards and a touchdown catch in each of his team's first 3 games of the season. Putting up impressive numbers and hauling in jaw-dropping catches isn't anything new for the 7-year vet, yet his name often gets overlooked when talking about the best receivers in the NFL.
They just haven't paid enough attention to the extraordinary plays that he continues to make, the gifted plays way down the field, and just makes him look so easy and so graceful. He's such a smooth athlete that, maybe it just, they don't see the power, they don't see the explosion, maybe. He's really fast, and I don't know that, Evans in the play that he broke last week, they weren't even close to catching him. And I don't know, he has been kind of under the radar, in a sense.
He just has an unbelievable ability to get in and out of routes. I think he's one of the best route runners in the game. The guy's been scoring touchdowns left and right. It's on tape, and you can't deny it. The guy's one of the best receivers in the game.
Well, it really is impressive what Tyler Lockett has been able to do through these first 2 games of the season. I also highly recommend checking out an article my colleague John Boyle recently put up on Seahawks.com about Tyler Lockett. And you can watch Lockett and the entire team take the field this Sunday as they take on the Minnesota Vikings. Kickoff is set for 1:25.